destinations. It preserves the culture. It's very, very important that we preserve the different cultures and traditions of each of the different countries and nationalities and different islands. And again, the brand differentiation, that is one of the big challenge. we need to make the tourism in the Caribbean a much more global competitive region in the world versus many other destinations in the world that we're competing with. As it was mentioned yesterday, we tend to think that one island is the competition of the next island. I think that the whole region has a tremendous potential. We have only seen the tip of the iceberg when it comes to number of travelers coming into the region, into the Caribbean. I truly believe we have a huge opportunity. If you take examples like what we see in Europe, that a $300 million people markets in the Western Europe generates just to Spain about 52 million tourists a year. And then we take on the other side that the 300 million market like the US generates only 12 million to the Caribbean. And then you take into consideration in Spain, they do that in 6 months because 80% of those tourists in Spain are weather, sun and beach tourists, and we can have them year-round in the Caribbean. I don't see why the United States alone should be able to provide 25 to 30 million tourists every year, which is almost 3 times the number of tourists that we have here. We believe we have we're in the right moment. We have a great opportunity to expand that and to grow dramatically. Almost like the European community does, that they have a lot of structure in the back to promote the whole commerce and the whole economy in the whole region, yet each country needs to continue to be accountable and responsible for their own branding, their own marketing, and to promote the distinctive destinations that each of them have. So the objectives, these will sound familiar, of course, full employment, the trade expansion and economic relationships with the third states, increase the production and productivity of the region, sustain economic development, international competitiveness, economic leverage dealing with third states, coordination of foreign and economic policies, efficient operations and common services and activities, advancements in social, cultural, and technology development, and health and education, in transportation and communications. Those are very, very important factors. We need to move towards becoming one single market economy when it comes to the region, but again, not losing the focus that each country is accountable and responsible for the branding and the success of the positioning of its own destination. So first, we need to remove the barriers. We need to have, as I mentioned, strong and long-term policies that survive the terms of the political service. We also need to increase the foreign direct investment into the region. We need to harmonize all of the taxation laws, all of the rules. We need to facilitate the trade among the different countries and the third-party countries to the different places in the region. We need to have competitive labor laws. The labor laws are very different in each of the countries, and that makes it very difficult for some business models to come and invest and have the return on investment that are expected. Today is very different in one country to the other, and so that is a very important factor, particularly in a sector that is so intense in labor as tourism in the hotels. We need to improve the visitor access. The visas was mentioned yesterday, and she's going to mention again during these 2 days. It's crazy to think that one tourist needs so many different visas to go to different places. I think that was one of the great things that were done in Mexico by Minister Gloria Guevara back then in tourism, removing a lot of the obstacles we had in the visa, and the number of tourists boost to the country dramatically from emerging very powerful emission countries like Brazil or like India or like Colombia or like Russia like then. So I think the visa is a very, very important issue that you should address. But also try to increase the pre-clearance. Some islands are more competitive than others. Of course, this one is a U.S. territory, and you have it, but some islands are more competitive than others just because the fact that they have the pre-clearance going back to the United States. Then, of course, safety and security, that's a big concern. Safety and security, it's an issue, but the biggest issue about safety and security is the perception of safety and security. So you need to work on that, not only on solving the problem, but how do you manage the crisis, the public relations, and how do you control the news and the message regarding safety. Tourism is a very scarce industry. They move very easy from one place to the other if anything happens. So safety and security, it's key. We need to improve the statistics and reporting. I mean, I have to tell you, we not only have bad statistics, but we have them late. So if you're going to have them bad, let's have them quick. But so we can say the wrong thing faster, because that's a very, very important opportunity that you have. There's all sorts of statistics, and the Caribbean really needs to have important and much more accurate and timely data in order to make right decisions. We also need to facilitate the airline access to the region. And that might involve some support, direct support, not just in marketing, but sometimes even with risk. And I'm not talking just charters, I'm talking commercial flights to the region. Connectivity is absolutely key in order to make the destination a lot more successful. No big hotel development or job creation with direct investment is going to come unless the connectivity is strong enough. So that's key. And then, of course, the disaster management strategy. In our region, we're always very concerned about the hurricanes, and which affect us greatly. So we need to be prepared for that. Unfortunately, right now, we're suffering a very bad one that is devastating the Los Cabos region. It's not in the Caribbean, but in the west coast of Mexico. And that has very strong consequences. So that is also a very important part of the, it has to be comprehensive, and it has to be spread out, and it has to be coordinated, and not just for one island, but for all the islands in the region. Again, we need to integrate the strategies with private and public sector partnerships, such as concessions at airports. Many times the efforts in infrastructure, particularly in airports, sometimes roads, marinas, big development, whether it is residential or hotels. Sometimes the government has to have an active participation, but as long as you have the right JVs or the right partnership with the private sector, I'm sure you're always going to find investors interested in participating with that. We need to expand the promotional budgets. I think marketing is key. We see some destinations doing a better job than some others, not only on how much they're investing, but how they're investing their money. You have to adequate the marketing and focus on marketing according to the new ways of distribution and to the new consumer that is out there. I think there's other regions, and particularly other countries in the world, that are doing a better job than most of the countries in our region. We need to focus also on how will this impact in the tourism will develop other sectors, and follow that hand to hand. Sometimes the tourism sector, for example, in the hotel side, it's only successful as long as you have the right suppliers in the destination. That develops a second type of economy, or any type of additional suppliers that are totally part of the tourism experience. We need to have a comprehensive energy plan. I mean, the energy is ridiculously expensive in the Caribbean. Again, some islands are better than some others, but it's absolutely crazy. We ran the numbers recently. The energy is more expensive in the Caribbean than in Hawaii. In some destinations in the Caribbean, we're paying more money in energy, which the consumer, by the way, considers that a commodity, than we pay in payroll. And that's a shame. We should be ashamed of that. We're not only not having the most efficient and sustainable ways to producing energy right now, but it's ridiculously expensive. And it adds no value to the consumer. Because the consumer, in this case, takes the energy for granted, right? The air conditioning should always work, period, regardless of how much you're paying for that. So that's very important. And of course, education. Education is very, very, very important. It helps strongly the community, but it also boosts the vacation experience to the visitors. We also need to focus on preservation, and preservation the uniqueness. We saw a sample, I think we had a sample, a great representation last night with the entertainment that we saw yesterday. I think part of the preserving the cultures of every single island with their own heritage and culture is very, very important. It's also part of the differentiation and uniqueness of each of the islands. The sustainability is very, very important, not only for the tourist that wants to go to a country that understands the environment, but most importantly for the community. We want to be there for generations and generations, not only of tourists, but also, of course, of the community members. We have a lot of intangible traditions that, again, some countries represent that and explore that in a better way than some others. But in the Caribbean region, we have fantastic ones, and they're very, very attractive if we know how to explore them and promote them better. We need to have authentic experiences in each of the destinations. If you look at the marketing and many of the islands, and you don't see which island they're talking about, you might think it's the same product, and it starts to look like a commodity. And when things start to look like a commodity, the only difference you'll find is price, and then we're in trouble. The branding and marketing, again, not just how much we're spending, but how we spend it. I think there's some efforts that should be done in combination with the overall Caribbean region, but some others that have to be dedicated specifically to position each of your brands and destinations, each of your islands. We also need to explore the niche tourism. There's different types of tourism. It's not just sun and beach for all. I think there's many other things that could be explored. Even people that go to an island are always interested in additional things, particularly the most sophisticated traveler. And of course, the product innovation. We cannot let the Caribbean start to feel like it's a stealth product. We need to stay on top of the new trends that are coming, where the consumer is going with the technology and the rest of the implications of the innovation on service and products that are doing in other parts of the world. We need more leadership. We need leadership in the region. We need to, in order to succeed, and this is very much a summary of some of the things that I've been mentioning, we need to fully integrate the tourism to the social and political agenda. But I mean for real, not just words, but actually making it not just an important part of it, but make the engine of it, of the social and political agenda. We need the political will, but we also need the leadership, not only on the public sector, but very important in the private sector. A strong private sector makes things happen, and makes things happen in continuity for a longer term. In Apple Leadership Group, we have a strong commitment. We're married to the Caribbean. It's part of our DNA. It's part of what we are today. We have intentions to continue to grow and be part of the success and the prosperity of the different communities and the overall well-being of the community. We really want to have this region of the world preserved for many generations of visitors and locals as well. That's it. Thank you. Any questions?